The most rewarding way to climb in League of Legends is by mastering a jungler, mastering a champion. However, when you play meta, you're not always going to have the best results as they get nerfed, banned, picked away, or destroyed. So the solution for you is to have a jungler to main that is meta agnostic, that has a high level of mastery, that has lower ban rates, that has many ways you can actually build them in order to thrive throughout the year. While everybody else is changing and panicking, you just change your items. And obviously that means low probability of nerfs. And I've gone for a full array of champions here to give you great diversity. You can choose one that suits your playstyle and your MMR range. In 99%, you will be able to main them and climb fast as hell without having to worry about them being absolutely useless. Even if Riot does nerf them, you should be okay. Let's start off with a champion I'm recommending to a lot of different people, and that is Hecarim. The reason for this is he has been under the radar since the W buff last year. Yes, his win rate is lower. Yes, his pick rate is lower, but that also means his ban rate is lower. And you have to remember, when Hecarim's in a weaker state, he's more likely to be buffed than ever nerfed again. And even if they do nerf him, he has been strong for 80% of the time of the last half a decade. Ever since we went from the Season 19 ganking meta to the new age jungling with 2-minute, 2-minute 15 spawn timers of camps, 2020-2021, Hecarim has enjoyed success. But it's not just those things. He can also be powerful in almost any composition. You want to play solo queue, you want to play flex queue, you want to play Clash 5s, you can just blind pick him and pick him first in all cases. You know, ban Kindred, but obviously use your skill set as a jungler and your mastery of Hecarim over time to build according to what you're fighting. For example, Phase Rush is standard and everyone should learn how to play it. He has a movement speed conversion ratio, which means the faster he is, the more damage he does. But the key tenet of his existence is in and out gameplay, using your E and your R at the perfect moments, spamming Q helicopter to stay in fights as long as possible, sustaining up with your W, but the Phase Rush allows you to go in, reposition, and come in again with your cooldowns, and also just to target swap really well. Now, against compositions that are melee, tankier, healthier, gonna CC you a lot, Conqueror becomes something very attractive because you can sit there, get the bonus ADs, get the healing as well, and of course you can build a little bit differently. But I do always advise learning to play the Phase Rush first, then you can learn the Conqueror to figure out which one is good where, and the itemization diversity is nutty. Yeah, you got Eclipse and Black Cleaver with the Zeeks, you got Eclipse and Black Cleaver and the Death's Dance, you can go third item Shojin, you've got some lethality builds going around, you've got hybrid tank builds going around. Basically, whatever you need from Hecarim can deliver this season. The pathing, the jungle experience, the gold is still primed and juicy for this pony. Just like if you want to be primed and juicy for jungle climbing, you have to head to Virkayu.gg's updated Season 15 jungle courses. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching, coaching classes, a jungle VOD library. We already have a lot of community VOD reviews and coaching classes for Season 15, sharing all the tips and tricks to reach new peaks in this season. All the fundamentals you need for right now are available in a ridiculous amount of hours for content tailored for your MMR so you can climb to reach your peak rank as fast as possible. So to hit your peak rank in Season 15 and jungle diff every game you play, head to the link in the description below or to Virkayu.gg. While Hecarim is better suited for gold to emerald players, Joven on the other hand is guaranteed to be good in every single MMR range. And yeah, this is not a super exciting pick. I understand your trepidation, that's why we've got timestamps. But before you click away, hear me out. While he did get buffed, which means he's more likely to be nerfed, and yes, he has a slightly higher pick rate, his ban rate isn't very high at all. There is always going to be something more obnoxious, more flavor of the month, or something Freak is gonna get his dirty hands on that makes him broken, like Nefiri, that people are gonna wanna ban. It also means that Joven is pretty much also good in every single composition. Now you need an AP threat, we'll have some choices here. You can make a champion pool from this video if you want. But much like Hecarim, with this fighter itemization, he truly can go the Eclipse into the sustained Sundered Sky Sterix Gauge builds. You can throw in the Frozen Heart and Spirit Visage builds. There's also a Profane Hydra build for the assassination of ADC's dreams. The whole point is, these builds are possible, this variety is possible, because he suits the way the jungles should be played. Read and react with high tempo control. If he needs to full clear with that buffed passive from last year, you can do it. If you need to play around 6, you can do it. If you need to gank a bit more and rotate a bit more, you can do it. And then in the late game, you're an unkillable beast, and you have an amazing ultimate, and you EQ people on cooldown with Shojin if you want to go that route as well. He brings only joy to those who execute well on this champion, misery to those who have to face it, and while his level of mastery might not be as high as people think, there's a lot of amazing Jovens with flash EQ, EQ flash combos that pull these things off, that just know all the angles for EQs and E drops, As much as I personally don't enjoy this champion and find him very boring, I'm not going to stop recommending him to people to main, because he's just that good. And even if he does get nerfed again, it's always going to be minimal, he will still be strong. Okay, let's go with the Kayn, because he got all of his buffs and nerfs at the beginning of the year. Well, just buffs, because you're suffering. And people always say, and I see it, hey, is he just biased towards a champion? I don't think he's that great. My friends, look how many Kayn players are Masters Plus across many servers. This isn't a niche jungler with 2 oaks, getting in the high elos, if you'll excuse the South African. It's not only that. It's a champion that can flex his entire playstyle depending on who you get in champion select. How is that not a good thing to main in a year where you're gonna see a whole bunch of random stuff occurring? Rust is eternally good almost. Hey, you don't like building good old-fashioned boring stuff as you see on your screen? Go lethality Rust. I mean, it's a lot weaker than it used to be, but you can still do it. You wanna go low haste, cool down on the Shadow Assassin and fling yourself everywhere just killing Soraka's? You can do that, but if you also want to make sure that you play more around the hard-hitting assassin gameplay with less haste but more oomph in terms of your hits, you can do that as well. The item versatility, the form versatility for me is such a strong power point of this when you can learn to use it properly. And again, rushing level 6, doing a clean 6 clears we covered in the Ultimate Early Game Jungle Guide yesterday, gives you the advantage in getting orbs and getting 6 fast. And if you can actually do that into counter jungling in early forms, who is actually realistically stopping this champion? Your skill. There's a higher level skill mastery on him. I know a lot of people disagree, but there truly is. I've known highly mechanical and highly talented Master Plus players who actually struggle to execute on Kayn. Trust me, this champion is good to main, please do so. Next up, we're gonna go with an AP threat in the Lilia. Now yes, she is something that has been nerfed and buffed throughout the season. Yes, I always call her easy, like I call a lot of these champions easy, right? That doesn't mean there isn't a higher skill ceiling of skill expression. That doesn't mean you can't actually master it in a way that makes you powerful no matter what her state is. And that's exactly what we're aiming for in this season. With the dartboard being the balanced team this year, you want something that can actually consistently output and something you can realistically rely on. Now, while there is more optimized builds for Lilia, there's enough versatility in there in terms of going more squishy, going AP Bruiser sustain, and obviously going a little bit tanky. But what she brings is an amazing set of skills that will transfer over not to only champions on this list, but other champions that you play in the future. She's great at sequencing and spiking and scaling, but is also a very good skirmisher and underrated early by many. Her skill expression might not always be in her mechanics, although a good Lilia with a Q flash ult, those are nice to watch. It's more so in her ability to execute jungle well. And if you can do that and have high mastery application of Lilia and jungling, this is really a package that doesn't stop short of challenger. And again, she just got buffed a little bit, but usually she's quite stable, and no matter what they really do, she's always good. I might objectively take her out as say best junglers because she isn't a best jungler, but she can still be one of the best to main. Now, if that's not enough aggression for you, then, well, let's go with Talon. Now, a lot of people are going to say, but look at his data, Virkayu, it is not very good. Guys, I don't know why people always like to gaslight about Talon, but even though they nerfed his farming tempo speed, years ago at this point, it was a mistake to buff it in the first place. Because of the change to just the game in general, so much has changed, he's able to farm at a reasonably good rate, and his map rotation and his ganking and his invades are not beat by literally any champion. Even Graves and Nidalee have more cooldowns in terms of him getting around the map. Not over the same wall, of course, but if you're dancing over the same wall, then you're not playing him right. Go full assassin, focus on getting your Ghostblade, getting around the map, get your Hubris, get your Edge of Night, or your Serylda's Grudge as necessary, and play like you need to win the game so you can go to the toilet, and do that every single game. No, I don't mean run into lanes, gank and die, or run into jungle invades and die. I just mean play with a certain pace, whether you're farming, whether you're ganking, whether you're invading, whether you're putting pressure on the enemy jungler, play with high pace. He's not going to be nerfed in the jungle, he's never going to be picked or really banned away from you anymore, and to counter the first point of this section, if you are someone that doesn't think he's actually that strong, he is around 50% win rate, it is closer to 51 at the moment, and even if it wasn't, if there are people in Challenger with it, that means there's high signs of mastery that you have to overcome, and you can have a very rewarding year maining Talon to get elo. Next up, we're going to go with the Warwick, and yeah, he's not going to be as good to main as, say, a lot of other champions in this list, Emerald Plus, Diamond Plus, but he definitely can get you to Master Tier, there's no doubt in my mind. However, the execution and the builds and the way you see the jungle, when you have to carry trolls, he can be a little bit more challenging than anyone else on this list for that. So in general, he's fantastic to main, but there are way better choices if you want to get to Diamond. But if you want to get to Gold, yeah, you can go Amumu. We love the Amumu, but I love Warwick for it as well. I think he's in a fantastic spot, underrated, less likely to be nerfed, definitely something that can counter all of the strong stuff that's rising up, gives you a lot of ability to rotate to the coin flip nature of low and mid MMR ranges, and yes, has a higher skill ceiling than most people think. No, he ain't gonna be no Nidalee, but there's a lot of great knowledge when it comes to sustaining low HP fights, target swapping, auto-attacking minions, Q3E combos, ultimate E and Q relationships, when to use what, matchup knowledge. And I know I used to play him in high elo many moons ago, but I did. One of the few people who did so as well. But I'm not sure how many of you are watching in 2019. Nevertheless, I still recommend him for the task of climbing in 2025. And yeah, you can go my build with the Trinity Force and so on. I'll leave a link to that builds video below. I've just recommended a standard build for this champion here, as well as everybody else in the video. There are a lot of different optimizations you can go with. I do love the Axiom Arcanist though. Replaces my Eyeball Ultimate Hunter build, which Riot removed for still no reason. I don't know why. Now you might be thinking I'm trolling you by putting Viego on this list, but I'm really not. He got gutted with that nerf end of last year. Even I was surprised. Everyone was surprised actually. We all thought, you know, maybe it's gonna be fine. Turns out it wasn't fine at all, and he's been suffering and wheezing. However, what's interesting, despite being weak in the general population, has been strong in high elo ever since. And not just by one or two guys, by a lot of people. So what this tells you is, the mastery curve of him right now, those who know how to play him, are still finding success. That means if you play Viego and you've been stuck a little bit with the lower damage output, you're doing, collector builds, titanic builds, triforce builds, doesn't really matter. You know that your ability on Viego is the thing that's currently holding you back. And maybe you're playing the wrong build with your playstyle. Remember, squishy or higher crit focus gives you nice healing and resets, but if you miss position, you're gonna die. Because at the end of the day, remember, while his automatic clearing and trading early on has been suffering, his ability to snowball through the jungle mechanics is still there. His ability to get resets in a crucial fight is still there. You just have to optimize the build with your style, optimize your jungle pathing and tempo around the new fact that you don't have automatic kill pressure level 3, but he's still strong enough to get things going, don't worry, and figure out where in your Viego journey you are currently not a master. Because once you've nailed down the build, you've nailed down your jungling, you're gonna be able to climb, and as long as they don't go ahead and buff him unnecessarily, which I don't think they will, hence why he's on this list, you're not gonna have to worry about him being banned or nerfed as much. And you really, really do not have to worry about Diana as much anymore, because they already nerfed her and they think this is a good nerf. But the rest of us who play jungle know. When you buff base damage Diana, we are all pretty happy because now she can be a lot stronger early pre-6. And yes, that means sometimes we are seeing red quadrant ganking Diana's back into base higher pressure, not AFK farming till 6. And hey, you can do that. But I don't think there's really a situation where people are going to be banning her instead of all the other things in the meta. Because the build, as you see, is a bit more AP bruiser, drain, sustain. She still one-shot squishies, she still has strong split push, and Riot really wanted this because these are the buffs that they gave her. Now, I'm not calling them nerfs for a reason. More of a lateral shift, but that makes her still great to main, less heinous and less likely to be banned, and of course less likely to be nerfed, but with decent skill expression, not in terms of your raw mechanics, but understanding how much you can dish, take, with a lot of focus on her macro and teamfighting ability. This is where exquisite Dianas are just fantastic to watch when you coach them or study them in VODs. You notice that their jungle pathing is hyper efficient, they always have a level up, their counter jungling is critical, they know when they can one-shot the enemy jungler already, but then they just have such a dedicated and fast way and agency of hitting them grubs, of taking those first turrets, of pressuring into tier 2s, of getting in your face and pushing you out of your own jungle, and then their teamfighting mechanics, knowing entry points, in and out gameplay, and if you're gonna go Zhonya's builds, they know exactly when to pull the trigger. These are the rewards you want for maining Diana, and trust me, they are there this season. And hey, I don't think we've had enough mindless aggression, so let's go with Bel'Veth. And I'm just kidding, please don't go mindless aggression again, those days were not pleasant for anybody, but it does mean that she's been S tier since her release basically, using different jungling styles, and now we're basically still in a bit more of the hey, get your form run over people's faces, but she's still Bel'Veth. She's still 1v9s. And if she still gets fed early and gets that level 6 spike with 2-3 kills, what are you doing against her? The answer is nothing. Truly a violent takeover Smurf high tempo champion. Another one you want to kind of play like Talon, but you can actually be more aggressive in the PvP sense. They've already done their nerfs to her multiple times, and because she was so overtuned, now she's just a champion that rewards great jungle knowledge, great tempo execution, and while she doesn't quite have the same build versatility as other champions on this list, or in general, you can make up for it for, like your 3rd or 4th item changes, and maybe you want to go Terminus once in a while. It doesn't really matter anymore because her play rates are way down at 2%. People have completely forgotten she exists. I'm surprised I do not see more smurfing junglers using her still, and I'm surprised I don't see a lot of people picking her up to climb with. But despite her being easy and obnoxious and a bit face roll, I don't really believe that you can just walk in and do it, and I've actually seen people try to learn this champion and not be able to pick it up even though they play other aggressive champions. Her Q mobility, the auto cancels, the W, the E sucky sucky, that kind of relationship, that fluid gameplay comes from putting a lot of time in, but trust me, the squid bitch can truly win games for you. And now I have to put Nocturne, because even though he is something that does technically shut out the lights, he is flying under the radar and has been for so long. I understand people don't want to play him, but you have your standard Stridebreaker, Hexblade, Sterix Gauge, Black Cleaver builds. You can do an assassin build. I have covered one this season already. Again, I don't necessarily recommend you to do it, but build versatility was something I promised, and his pick rate is high, but his ban rate is not high. His likelihood of nerfs is, I think it would be high, but I'd have forgotten he exists. And he is actually decently balanced. He is strong, but he's decently balanced. Nothing that would necessarily warrant knee-jerking nerfs. And even if they do come through, he's still gonna be good. Conqueror as a default, lethal tempo is an option. Definitely less jungle application for the mastery point in this one. You're playing kind of like Lilia. You've got nice macro like Diana. A little bit of everything is present in Nocturne in terms of what he brings forth. So the mastery relationship there is less about his mechanics and more about nice, good old-fashioned jungle balanced approach. And as you know from my videos and just the champions in this list, that is a skill in and of itself. Many people like, aggressive ganking high tempo. Other people like just farming and chilling and then punishing those who mess up trying to have high tempo. It does reward those who maybe do not master one or two styles, but who are perhaps very, very good at all of it. And finally here for the bonus section, we have Vi. Yes, she's high pick rate. That's because the champion, apparently, despite being shot out back last year, is good. And has been good for 10 years, and people only just kind of realized it. The mobility creep from champions such as Ziri and the disgusting disease that is Yuumi and Smolder, that means we need that lockdown ultimate from Vi, we need that percentage damage, we need the shields, we need the CC, and we need the well-rounded sort of fighter tank approach engage tool, heal tool that she provides to everybody. Yeah, there is a likelihood that she might be nerfed again if she's picked up in pro play too much, but thanks to Fearless Draft, a lot of these things will kind of dissipate a lot quicker. And again, objectively, she's not necessarily OP. She does have weaknesses in solo queue now, and it does rely a little bit more on you building more damage and thus making yourself a little bit squishy to all the points I just said. So snowballing is very important. Playing around 6 and not forcing ganks is very important. And then really having pristine target selection. Vi is one of the best champs in the game to force yourself to learn target selection. If you don't do that, you will suffer and you will lose. If you engage too far away from your team and you pull the trigger at the wrong time, you will suffer and you will lose. Because Q becomes such a low cooldown spell later on, you're moving around the map very fast because you should be using it to move around the map. But you can Q many times around a fight. There's no reason that you have to ult and Q the same person. There's no reason you can't Q someone, your team could follow up CC, and then you can ult someone else to peel your ADC. There's a lot of combinations. And while this isn't necessarily again mechanical mastery, it is something that is very, very important for all junglers to learn. And I do believe the more time you put into Vi, the more you're going to realize, wow, I'm so good now at understanding all of my Q use case scenarios, and I'm just running around the map fluidly and hitting everyone in the face. And if you want to hit everybody in the face with your ultimate game jungle knowledge, click that video to truly master all aspects of how you kill Groms.